I think I do.
I'm an idiot. I went around looking for the projector.
It's all here.
Peanut person. Oh.
Dan's supposed to uploaded this image. That's me. That Colin DeCarlo has more subscribers on YouTube than I do.
He has 15 subscribers.
Yeah. I think I have one, maybe.
All
right. So has anybody checked if the stream works?
Yeah.
Does it seem to work? Can you see the whole? Yeah. Can you see everything on there?
Yes.
All right. Good. We're gonna have like a loop, right?
Can you see everything on there?
Can you see the whole thing? All right. So, yeah, this is gonna be. I didn't see Daniel's talk yesterday, but I don't think it. I get the feeling it's not going to be as prepared. Didn't Daniel? Oh, KB did it? Oh. So it's not going to be as prepared as that, I don't think. Just because I kind of like the format where we all kind of talk it out together and sort things out. Because I said in the Slack channel, like, I'm going to be talking about git bisect, using the ref log, kind of like using rebase to split up commits, what pickaxe is, those sorts of things. So, like, I know how to use them because I've used them before, but for the most part, like, if I need to do a git bisect, I'll Google, like, how do I start doing a git bisect? So I'm in no way an expert, but I do have experience using these more advanced parts of Git that I think that I can be helpful in leading a discussion about. So let's get started. I guess the first thing is whenever we're doing, like, I guess, a project or a thing about Git, we need a Git repo to actually work against. So I'm using a side project that I'm working on with a couple of coworkers. So we're going to be looking at the MMA Companion repo.
This is where all the Git fucks are.
This is where the Git fucks are. We could even look for them, actually. That might be... let's not do that. Fuck Git. Yeah. I'm gonna lose my I'm gonna lose my advertisers for all the swearing I do on this live stream. So yeah, we have a number of commits in here. The history is actually kind of neat because this project was once a separate project that then got turned into MMA Companion. So a little bit of history. It was first Fight Select, and then Fight Select died in a fire, and then so we picked up and went with MMA Companion. So, like, there's some real history in this repo, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about, first things first, I guess, let's talk about, I guess, rewriting your history in Git. And so that would be, like, basically changing what commits are, what the contents of a commit is, those sorts of things. So let's say, right now, if we do a git status, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. If we do a git status, this should be clean. Yeah, there's nothing on it. So let's take a look at, let's say I wanted to, I don't know. Oh, this is bad already. Okay. So we want to make some changes. So I got a request from Darren just the other day that was, hey, Colin, can we track how long members in the response payload for a user, can we see how long they've been a member? So add a member since. So I needed to make some changes for that. So if we take a look at the log, so here's something we could do: since, and then 1 day ago, and it tells me just the commits that happened yesterday. That's kind of neat, right? So, like, another way of, like, taking a look at your log would be, like, I don't know, git log. Like, I know I only did one commit yesterday because I wasn't very busy on it. So you could say how many commits I want to look at. So that's pretty much the same thing. But using the since is kind of neat, especially if you wanted to know, like, what happened. Like, if you wanted to get, like, a daily change log of what happened in the repo, you can use since, and that's kind of like a real fuzzy way of saying, you know, how far back in the log do you want to look.
Is there a way to see
Interval.
Like between? I don't know. Git help log. I think maybe. I know that there's full diff log, start end, nah, revision range. Show only the commits specified for a revision range. When no revision range specified, it defaults to head. I'm going to say I don't know. There's since and until. Oh, you could probably use since and until. So let's say like since 6 days ago until 5 days ago or something like that. Let's see what that does. Git log dash dash since, and then we'll say like, let's say 14 days ago. Let's say we want to look at like 1 week. 14 day ago. Oh, look, a gap. So maybe we don't even have to do a go. Anyways. And then until, let's say what 7 day ago does. Is this going to give us a week's worth? Add watched events. So that was the 29th and the 3rd. Yeah, Wegwa. That's interesting. Let's see what that commit was. So here's another way. You can see what the contents of a commit are. So if I wanted to, I can just copy this hash, and I can say git show, and I can paste that in here. Oops, Command V. And that shows me like all of the contents, right? Oh, I remember this. This was when we had the GPUG, and we were talking about like optimizations that we could have worked on. Now, this is like the entire diff, right? From that. But if I just wanted to see like what files were a part of that that commit, another way to do that, and you can use this for a lot of different things, is using the stat flag. So you say git show dash stat, and then you can paste that in there. Why is that? Okay. Again, I'm doing control for some reason. And it just shows you that, right? Instead of like the whole diff. So it was just the fighter payload that we changed, which was kind of neat. So yeah, so let's take a look at, let's reset this where I am right now to bring in the changes from that last commit. So I'm going to do git reset head, which is like, head is a pointer to the tip of the branch that I'm working on right now. So right now I'm on the master branch, and so head is pointing to that, and I want to go back one. So you can do that with a tilde, so like tilde is back 1, 2 tildes is back 2. You can do our head.
87 tildes.
Yeah. Or is it like this? I think it. Oh, it's like this. Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry, not tildes. Yeah. So this will go. This will. I think what this is going to do for me is git status. All right. So I've got these files that are modified right now. And so let's say one of the things that one of the reasons you might want to like change a commit is, let's say you've modified a bunch of files and you've like added a new file that was untracked, right? So let's just make a new file somewhere. Like for instance, this this test here was like test users test. So let's take a look at the changes here. So if I do a git diff and then I say what the file was, so tests, features, users, test, it'll show me this is the change that I made. So perhaps what I wanted to do instead, I'm trying to think of how we can add a new file to this. I don't think I can right now. Let's just add a new file. Touch, new file. All right, so now if we get a status here, we have this new file that's untracked. So let's say I'm going to make this commit now. So I'm going to do git add, and then I can, if I do git add dot, does that add everything? I think it does, right?
Yeah.
So git add file. So I'm just going to do app HTTP payloads, user, and then tests, features, users test, right? And then get status. So those are now staged to be committed. And I may have just forgot to add that new file. And I could go ahead and I can do my commit. And it was like, oh, this adds the members since attribute to the user payload. Oops. Display connected. Oh, no way.
What?
I don't think because my touch bar has the escape key,
Oh.
and the touch bar right now says display connected, mirror displays, extend desktop. I wonder if I hit the X on it, is it gonna ruin the feed? Nope, we're good. Okay, I got my thing back.
Unfortunately, it didn't.
Yeah, unfortunately it did. So now I could go and I could say, okay, get status. Oh, this new file. I forgot to add that file, right? So what I can do is I can do git add. So what you might do in the past, if you didn't know that you could change what that commit was, is you would be like, oh, git add new file. And then you would do like git commit.
Oops.
Yeah, right? -m. And it's like, forgot to add new file. And that's like a separate commit, but it doesn't really make much sense because typically the commit that you added that file for, it was important that file went with that commit, and it would be a part of keeping your history, keeping like each, I guess, point in the repository's history and keeping the application in a working state. So like it's possible that if somebody were to get this file and then go directly to that hash and run your test could fail or something along those lines, right? And then they're like, oh no, and we'll get to why that's important a little bit later. So what you really want is you want to have this file as a part of that commit. And since it was the last commit that you just made, there's a really handy flag to commit to change that. And so that's, if we get a look at our status now, we can see that that one's ready to go. So if I do git commit -- amend, what that will do is it changes the very last commit, and you can see that new file is now a file that's going to be going in there with us. So that's a really quick way of rewriting that history.
You don't need to modify the commit message. You can also do git commit -- amend and then space and -- no - edit.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's even better. USA. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Now, something else that could be is if you needed to change a commit, like let's back it up again. Git reset head.
Wait. I think you can use the @ symbol instead of head. Is that a shortcut? Because I always use the @ symbol and for this, and it seems to work the same. But I don't know like what the difference is because I think there's a slight difference in certain.
So you can do so git reset takes in a hash. Well, it takes in a ref, right? And then so head is a ref, and then like the little hat on there just says 1 behind the head. And so that references a particular commit. And there's another way of like doing references, which we'll get when we look at the ref log. For instance, here's the ref log. This is where you see these head at 0, head at 1, head at 2, those sorts of things. So I could refer to any number of, I can refer to all of those hashes on the side by that, I guess, like link, like head at 5 is 5 behind the head, right? So if you're doing like head at, that might be short for like, oh, what are you doing?
Oh, it's just the @ symbol by itself.
Really?
Yeah, because I use @ symbol and like, I read that's an alias for head or
It
something
might
like
be.
that, and that seems to work for me. But
We learn things all the time. That's cool. So let's do this commit here. So git add app http payloads user, right? And then tests, features, users test, and then git commit minus m, and it'll be like Vehikl. And so we added that, and then like we went and we did a little bit more information, like a little bit more work. So actually, let's just open up this one feature here, and then we'll just come down here, and let's say we don't want John Bender's name to be John Bender, so we'll just change name to like Johnny Bendo, something along those lines. Johnny Bendo, all right? And then we're like, okay, git add tests, features, users test, and then git commit minus m, and it's just like update the name of the test user. I'm not going to put an exclamation mark in a message. And then we were taking a look at our status again, and we go, oh, that new file that was actually supposed to be from like 2 commits ago, the Vehikl commit, is still there, right? And then so we're like, oh, okay, so we could do the git add new file, and then git commit minus m, whoops. And then that file is there again, but again, now we've got 3 commits where really we should have 2, and if we checked out like the repo at 3 commits ago and ran our tests, it might fail because that commit needed the new file, which didn't actually exist at that point in history because we didn't add it until 2 commits later. That's a real problem. So if now, though, because we have that intermediary commit, right? So git log minus n3. Now that we have this commit, update the name of the test user in between, we can't use git commit amend because it's not the last commit that we want to change, right? We actually want to change that Vehikl commit. And so in order to do that, what we have to do is an interactive rebase. So that's how you do that. So let's do that. So to do it, basically rebasing is a way that you can change which, okay, you can change the reference that this new branch of the repo is based off of. Is that about right, Carlos?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
I always thought
Yeah.
of it like rolling back to where you were and then replaying the change.
Yeah, that's basically what a rebase does, right? So if a lot of the
it
time,
effectively changes history. Like your commits are no longer
yeah,
those commits. Like
Yeah.
they are completely brand new commits.
yeah,
Right.
Like as far as
Yeah, replay,
the
yeah.
system.
yeah.
Thing,
And so a lot of the time you would do like a rebase, for instance, is like if you're working against develop, for instance, and then like people make commits and things get merged into develop, and you want to make sure that the changes that you've made in this branch are still good on develop, you might want to rebase onto what the new develop was. So say you were working on this like feature for like 3 days. So you branched 3 days ago off develop. 3 days have passed and things that develop has changed what the actual tip of that is, and you say, okay, well, I want to rebase this work onto the new develop to make sure that my tests are still going to pass, and anything that's been introduced in the repo since then hasn't broken what I've been working on. You do a rebase. Now in this instance, because like the tip hasn't actually changed, we just want to like rewrite our history. We can go back X number of commits. So I do git rebase, bbase, and I think you have to say like where you want the starting commit to be. So I think at this point it's head, and then
At symbol. Do at tilde 3.
you want at tilde 3. So we'll do at tilde 3. I don't know if this is. Oh wait, we need to say it's an interactive rebase as well. So that's what -i does, and then it opens it up here, and it says, oh, here are the commits that I'm going to replay for you. And you can see that this whoops commit is the one that we actually want to be part of Vehikl. And so these are all of the options that you can actually have when you're rebasing. Pick just means just use that, well, you can read just as well as I can. Reword says, I'm going to use this commit, but stop so I can change what the message actually is. Edit means stop completely because I want to actually like do some work at that spot in my history, which for the most part, whenever I edit a commit is I have a large commit that I just want to like break up, right, into like maybe a few smaller commits. And so I'll edit that one particular commit, reset, and then I have all of those modified files again, which I can then pick things out of and do that. So we'll try that.
So when you do the interactive rebase, it's checking out all three of those? Like, is it actually like switching to that shot and something?
Yeah, basically, like Git says, okay, these. So basically, right now, for the rebase, if I was to just run it, it would replay this commit, and then it would replay this commit, and then it would replay this commit. That's basically all it's doing. So, yeah. Squash is just like make these like X number of commits, like one commit, for instance. Like if I wanted to squash, like say all of this was actually one logical change, I could change this to squash and this to squash, and then we would end up with one commit that is wegwa, and then update the name of the user and whoops all together as the commit message. It would say this is a commit, this is a squash commit of like 3 commits, and then it would have like all of these individual commits. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is to fix up, which is like squash, but you actually don't want the log message. Like in this instance, like what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be fixing up this wegwa commit with this commit, and I don't actually want this whoops message there. I just want to keep wegwa. So basically, I don't know what exec does. I'm not even going to talk about that one. I've never used it in my life. Basically, you can run a command. So like maybe run a linter or something along those lines on it. I don't know, so I'm not going to talk about it. So what we actually want to do is we want to reorder the way that these commits are actually executed. So I could, if I wanted to, is I can just copy this line and I could put it up here, and we could run the rebase at this point. And there's 3 commits, and if we take a look at the log now, was it 3? We'll see that now we've got wegwa, whoops, and update the name of the test user. So I actually changed the order in which the whoops commit showed up in my history, but I don't want that one altogether, so we're going to do the rebase again. And we're going to say that this whoops commit should actually be part of this wegwa commit. So I'm going to change this pick to a fix up. You can just write F, yeah. But I'm just trying to be a little bit more verbose so people know what I'm doing. But in the real world, I would change this to F. And then so we hit escape, and then we run it. And now if we take a look at the log, we just have wegwa, and I can take a look at wegwa. Git show -- stat. Fuck. And we can see that the new file is a part of that commit now. So that's how we rewrote that history using rebase. So I thought that was pretty neat. Yay! And I think that kind of covers, well, that covers rewriting history at least. Well, a little bit. We could talk about rebasing to edit commits and break up large commits. So let's do that. So I've probably had some larger commits. Let's take a look at my log and see if I can remember which ones are what. Let's take a look at the last 10 commits. Add a command to update the fighter data. Yeah, that's a stupid one. Add uploads for avatars and banner images. That's a nice one. Get favorite fights endpoint and expand to user. Add favorite. So this might be a good one to look at. The favorite fights endpoint. So basically with the application, we want people to be able to say, hey, that fight between Like that fight between Overeem and what's the Nagano, right? What's his name? Franco Nagano. That was a really good fight, and it wasn't too long, so I wouldn't mind watching that a couple of times. They could add that to their favorite fights, and then they can keep coming back to them and whatnot. So let's grab this, and let's check out the. Let's check this out. Git check out this hash. All right. So now we're in something called the detached head. You might have seen this message a couple of times. And basically all a detached head means is like, what does it actually mean? I think it means like there's no actual like nice reference pointing to what this hash is. So like you can make some changes, make some commits and things like that, and like you're gonna have a real hard time tracking them and getting back to those. So typically it says to do with this, like git checkout -b new branch name, but we don't need this right now. So I'm gonna do another git reset to get back the, actually, let's take a look at what was part of this actual commit. So there was a whole bunch of files in there. There's the README, the routes changed, there's some tests, and then some controllers and whatnot. So let's say, oh yeah, this would be a good way to break this up. Okay, it payloads the user, and yeah, okay, so actually there is, you can tell by the actual commit message that there's actually 2 commits in this one commit, because I added 2 endpoints, basically. Well, I added a new endpoint, and I added the ability to expand those favorite fights to a different endpoint. So that's 2 logical changes to the application. So typically, I guess those should be 2 separate commits. So let's do that then. Oh, you know what? I'm doing this all wrong, because we're going to do a rebase where we edit that commit. So let's do quit git checkout master. Perfect. And git log minus n 10. All right. Now this guy. So I'm going to rebase starting here. Git rebase minus I. Did I spell rebase wrong? I did. All right, so this guy right here, I want to actually make into more than just one commit. So I'm going to say I want to edit this commit so I can break it up into 2 things. So I'm going to say edit. And so now I have stopped at that commit, add favorite. And so if I do a git reset and then head up 1, that kind of like puts me back into where I was just before I made that commit. So I have all of these modified files, right? I have a couple of untracked files. So I think the first thing I actually wanted to do, did I change the git ignore or something? I don't know. So what I wanted to do is let's just add a commit that adds the favorite fights controller, and then we'll have another commit that adds the expand for those favorite fights. So for that one, I did, it's this favorite fights controller here was part of it, so I'm going to do a git add on that. Command V, and then, so that didn't change, that didn't change. The README had the new route. That's the new route. And it's probably this, oh, look at that. And now this guy, right? Yeah, sure. So now we get status, So now those are adding that actual endpoint. So I could do a git commit here. Add the favorite fights endpoint. And now if I do a status, I've got these other files going along. So I think that if I say git rebase continue at this point, it's not going to let me because I have all of these things that I have to deal with. So do you guys want to try that, or you just want to like, let's try it. So if we do git rebase continue, I think it's not going to let me because I have like some messy stuff here. Yeah, so it says it needs update, so it's actually not going to let me. So let's take that was really good. So now this is adding the expand to that user endpoint. So I'm going to say git commit, or git add, sorry. And then I guess this guy, I wonder what's in there. Storage framework testing. I think that's where, I don't know. Let's add that, what's ever in there. I don't know what's in there. Git status. Oh, should probably ignore that. Doesn't matter. And then so git commit, and this is going to be add the favorite fights as an expand on the user. All right, now I can do git commit dash dash git rebase continue, git rebase continue. It's going to let me do all that sort of stuff. And now if we take a look at the log, minus n, let's go back 12 or something like that, we can see that that one commit is now two commits where we add the favorite fights endpoint and then we add it as an expand on the user. So that's, why would you do something like that, right? This is like, I think, a vanity thing almost, really. Because like, what is it? It's almost like theory over practice, would you say? Because like a commit should be like one logical change to the repository, right? And you can see that we did multiple things that were two logical changes to the actual repo that you could then argue should be two separate commits. And then so if you've got somebody that's like a real stickler over like those sorts of things, they might ask you just be like, hey, can you break this commit up into two different things because it's doing too much stuff. And then so now you have the tools available to do that. Yes, Sticky.
What about, maybe not, sorry. But you had two different features, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe this is more a branching thing than anything. I was going to say like they're both on the same commit, but if you're only testing and promoting one in production or something like that.
Yeah.
But would that be a commit thing at that point, or would you just like split the feature?
I think at that point what I would do is, if I had to do something like that, I think what I might do is I might separate the commits into two different things,
Yeah.
right? And then branch off of that, and then rewrite the history to remove the one spot from the one branch, and then remove the other thing from the other branch, so they're on like two separate branches. This is getting really deep, so I don't really know. I've never had to do that.
You're kind of making it more complicated, but it's the idea of you can easily undo one of these when they're two separate ones. When it's all one, you got a lot more code. You've got to sift through to find whatever it is you're trying to fix, and then undoing it means making a bigger change.
Yeah, that is a good point. Thank you very much, Brad. So yeah, like if I just wanted to like roll back that change, I didn't want to like implement anymore. Now it's a lot easier just to roll back that one thing, which is great.
And it's handy when you get your git bicep stuff too.
Yes.
Now, for this example you did,
Yeah.
unless I wasn't really paying attention, I mean, was kind of clean because the changes took place across separate files.
Yeah.
So it was.
I know where you're gonna go. Yeah.
What do you do?
Let's talk about that. So let's talk about. Let's say I have a lot of changes to one specific file that are like two logical chunks, effectively, right? And I want to break those up into two separate commits, or multiple commits, right? So I've done a whole bunch of work, and then I've done a git status, and I see that 15 files have changed, and there's this huge thing, and you're like, okay, all of this work needs to be multiple commits, right? Can't just have one big commit that says like lots of stuff is the commit message or something along those lines. That's what you put, right? You can, of course you can. So let's take a look at that. Let's say, all right. Let's say, oh boy, where can we make some changes?
Sorry, my question's going to throw off your.
No,
I did
no.
want to get to your bisect.
I did want to. Yeah, what time is it? Oof. Yeah, bisect. All right. So what I want to talk about? Let's do something like this. MC followed fighters controller, and then do. All right, so I just created a new file here called followed fighters 2, which is great. And so now if let's quit and oops, quit. Uh-oh. How do anybody know how to exit Vim? There we go.
Yeah. Get a new computer.
Yeah. So if we get a git status, we have this new file, right? Fighters 2. And so if we take a look at it, git diff, git diff untracked or something like that. We talked about this the other. How do I see what's actually in that file? Diff it. Is it untracked? No, untracked isn't an option.
You need to see the whole file? As opposed
Yeah, pretty much. Let's just open it. Let's just cat it out. Let's go back to Vim. And we'll take a look at followed fighters 2. So, oh, it's only one file. Fuck me. All right. Let's grab this. And let's do, let's just say we had this as delete or destroy, for instance. Oh, how do I exit Vim? There we go. All right. So I can do git add -- patch this particular file. Let's see what this gives us. No changes. Oh, because it's not tracked. It's not tracked, yeah. So let's try this again. Let's just get rid of this file and let's make the change to a tracked file. All right, so let's go back to Vim. All right, app, HTTP controllers. I thought favorite fighter, my favorite fighter controller should have more things in it. Update rules, nah.
What are you trying to get at here?
I need a controller that has more than one action in it. Can't find it. Fighter followers controller, fighter records controller, fight controller. Show. Fuck off. my top 10 fighters controller. Update rules. Nope.
I'll go to event controller.
Do you think the event controller has more things in it? It's got an index and a show. Perfect. All right. So let's say and then let's add a couple of methods here. Show again and paste that in here. Index one more time. All right. Anyone know how to exit Vim? There we go. So now if we do a get status. All right. So now if I do a get add dash dash patch this file, all right, it's going to say, hey, it's going to take us into like an interactive add, basically, where we have all these different options. So we have two changes, two like logical chunks, and Git was kind of smart enough to say, hey, this looks like a hunk, it's called. Do I want to add this hunk this time or not? So my options down there, I could do question mark and it would actually tell me like what each one of those things are. So we can search, we can say leave this hunk undecided, blah, blah, blah. A lot of the time for me, it's just saying like yes or no, right? Do I want to do this? So I actually don't want to add this one right now, I could say, so I could just say no, and it'll go to the next hunk. And you can see actually here, this is kind of interesting, and this will allow us to do a little bit more work. You can see that there's that red kind of block there. Those are leading spaces, which no person should ever have in their code. So what I actually want to do is I do want to add this, but I want to fix this up right now so that it's not actually there. So I can say edit. I want to edit this hunk, and it brings me into like what this actual change is. And then so if we can see there's all of these spaces here, and I don't want these spaces, so I can just delete them and then write that out. And then what just happened? Do I want to? I don't know. You can change some commits around, I guess. Let's edit that again. Oh no, we're done. We're done. Okay, that's right. So now,
so is an edit an implicit yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then so now we can take a look at here that. So now if we do a git diff,
Oh, that's interesting.
right? It'll tell us, hey, this is a new thing that was added, right? Between what's look, there's that. So I can now say like I could commit that and then move on. So I could say git commit
Cool. So
minus m. Yeah.
That.
Add patch. We're good? All right. Let's do a git reset dash hard. We'll go to we'll look at bisect. Do you guys want to look at bisect, the ref log, or the pickaxe?
Bisect. I don't know what pickaxe is.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say bisect.
Okay. Bisect is pretty cool.
What is pickaxe?
Pickaxe.
Why don't you describe the other two and then not talk about it?
Okay. So pickaxe allows you to search for commits that contain certain strings in them. So let's say,
Cool. All right.
yeah. So let's say I wanted to see like all the commits that had this one function name in it. For instance, you could do git. So it's just like git log minus big S, and then the string that you want to look for. So let's say it was.
Oh, you're doing it.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's a quick one, yeah.
Yeah, so let's say it was a string in here that was like, I don't know, like, I don't have any to-dos or anything like that in here. Test user, maybe. And then so like there's all of these commits that have that string in there. And then I can look for them. You can say that, like let's take a look at this for instance. Let's say you wanted to look for them in a particular file. You can filter on file as well. So I can do git show dash stat and then this thing again. And let's say the test that changed in this one was the fighters test. So let's grab this file. I'm just going to copy this for now. And I can do git log minus s test user, and then I can do 2 dashes and then use that as like only look in this file for that. I guess it was the other one, but it will it'll show the commits that had that. Maybe it was like users test, follows test, and then, so you can see there's that commit that had that in there. So it was a good way of kind of like searching through your history looking for particular strings. So that's it. So I'm going to do a get reset hard.
I had it in there as in like new occurrences of that string.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we actually showed, so if we actually showed that hash, and we were looking for test user, we'll find it right there. We can see that that was removed. Which is kind of neat, right? Keep it going, right? So let's do a get reset. -- hard origin master. Ambiguous argument origin. Oh, I spelled origin wrong. All right, cool. Get status. All right, let's make sure my tests run. Vendor bin PHP unit. They look like they run faster in PHP Storm, but they really don't. They take about 6 to 7 minutes to run. That's a lie. We're not going to be waiting for 6 or 7 minutes. It'll be done soon. Yeah, all right. So all the tests pass. So let's say git bisect is a really good way. Is you get a report from somebody saying, hey, this is broken, right? And you need to find the commit that broke your application. What you can do is you can use the tool git bisect to actually like pinpoint the commit where things stopped working for you. And so what you do, let's break something in the test. So, oh, how are we going to do this? Let's do git rebase head tilde 20. Rebase minus I. All right. Make allow top 10 list to be expanded. Add top 10 list for users.
Isn't really just like starting with this one works.
Yeah.
One, and then just show the process and you just pretend. You know, you say yes, it works. No, it doesn't.
Okay, that's good.
You know what I mean?
That's good. Thanks, Brian. All right. A good way to like abort a rebase if you said, oh, I don't want to rebase anything at all, is to select everything, all of the commits, and just delete them. Trust me. And then you do it, and it's like, I aborted. There's nothing to do. So, all right. So let's do a git bisect.
Sorry, git rebase --
You could do that too, yeah. But you'd have to stop it, right?
No, just git rebase --
Oh, that's during a rebase, though, right?
Sorry.
No. All right. So git bisect. How does it work? I think I have to give it a couple hashes, right?
I always have to.
You guys got to go? All right, let's look up git bisect real quick.
Oh, it's git bisect start.
Okay, and that's the, so let's say head tilde 20 things ago, and then what does that do?
Oh yeah, because your current version is bad. So you git bisect start, git bisect bad, and then git bisect good space and whatever the commit was.
Okay, so let's say git bisect.
Okay, sorry, let me catch up here. So I know current head is broken.
Yeah, it's bad.
And what I'm just like going back in time until I can find a hash that.
Yeah, but the way it does it is with a binary search, and then so it'll like, so let's say get bisect bad is head. You need to start by, fuck, do you want me to do it for you? Yes. I do want you to do it for me.
Watch the language. This is streaming live on YouTube.
Get bisect start. Okay. Already, your branch is up to date with origin. What's going on? How do I do this? I don't know how to get bisect. I always have to Google it.
It's your talk, bro.
Let's try this again. Get bisect.
Yeah.
Start. Do I give it a... Nope.
I think it needs to be different than where you currently are.
Okay.
If you bisect against head, then you're comparing against yourself.
All right. Head dash 20, you think? Is that going to do something?
Maybe.
Nope. How do we get bisect? This is where the stream goes really bad.
Google it.
I am. I'm Googling it right now.
Stream someone else's stream on Get Bisect? Is that?
Using get bisect to figure out where brokenness was introduced. Here we go.
I think
Enter the get bisect command. Get bisect. All right, let's try that. If I'm just gonna type it, get bisect. Nope.
get bisect start.
Get bisect start. You think?
And then get bisect bad and good does not.
All right, so bad. Head -5. Sure. All right, get bisect. Good. Huh?
Yep.
No. No, I think. All right. All right, there we go. So now it's bisecting 7 revisions, right? And it's going to help us find it. So at this point, what we would generally do is run our tests. We would test somehow to see if like the bug that we're at is visible in the application. And if this is good, we would then say get bisect good. And then it would say, okay, it cut it in half, and we run our tests again, and we'd say, oh no, it's bad here. So we do get bisect bad, and it's got 1, and we run our test again, and we could say, oh, actually this is the bad one. So we'd say it's still bad. My tests are still failing. Get bisect bad, and then it would say bisecting 0 revisions, and then I guess here we would say get bisect still bad, and I think it says this is the commit that broke it. So it's a way of like, let's say we had like 100 commits to go through, we could jump through those really quickly in a binary search. Thank you for your help, Brad.
So I guess I would assume that throughout all those commits, well, no, sorry, I was gonna say like your tests state.
Like you didn't run them or something along those lines, or who knows?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, right?
Or that you had them.
That you had tests, right?
No, because I've tested that specific. There's
Yeah.
You're testing for a particular bug where you probably didn't have a test at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you could have your test as an unstaged change so that you can run that test
Right.
against
So
all
it
those commits.
persists through going through the
Or maybe you're manually testing if this is a JavaScript thing that you don't have to have a test for every time you refresh your browser because the bug's still there.
Right.
Whatever the case is.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. But you did have to know. Like, hey, this is where it's broken,
Yeah, this is where it's not broken.
and you did have to know starting point of where it's not broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you need the basic idea of, alright, it's not working now,
Yeah.
and it was working 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So let me jump back into 2 weeks ago. Bisect essentially just keeps checking so you start with 100 commits, and it says, okay, so these first 50, are they good? And if the problem's there, then we can drop that, and then it'll do, okay, let's split that in half, and here's
Yeah.
the first 25, most good.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That could have saved me a lot of time. What were the other options? What was visualize?
Visualize. Oh, I have no idea.
Right.
That's homework for.
Run it.
That's if you want to take it. What do you mean?
Just see what happens.
Run it, man.
Just run what?
Get bisect visualize.
Get, bisect, visualize. Oh, it opened up Get K.
Okay.
Did a drug?
Get K is Tickle TCL front end for Get.
Sure. Okay. I didn't know if it was like gonna.
I don't know what it was gonna do either.
Dog it.
Get CO master. All right, and I think that's it. Thank you for watching the stream. We're done. Are there any questions?
No.
All right.
Woo!
Stop streaming.